everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio. Today I'm sharing with you the speed up version of the live stream that we have. You know, Art Joy of Sharing live stream channel is a separate channel that Peg Robinson and I do together, and we live stream every Thursday morning. Today it was actually Friday because Peg had to get her shot, but yeah, we are there every Thursday morning at 8:30 Central, 11:30 Eastern Time over on Art Joy of Sharing live stream. And what we were talking about today was inspiration. Where do you get your inspiration? And I was talking about seasonality. That really, color is really what inspires me. Shapes too, but color. And as we're going into spring, I have a beautiful honeysuckle blooming outside. A couple of the other things are blooming here in Arizona. And I really start to be drawn to pastel colors. And I have been like if you go and you look on my Pinterest, and if you want to look at my Pinterest, there's a link down at the bottom there that you can click down at the bottom of the screen if you're on a regular computer, and it'll take you to my Pinterest. I have this board called For Inspiration, and it's not a specific thing. It's just like if I see something when I'm sitting around looking at Pinterest, which I do that on my phone, I will pin it in there. And sometimes I will go there and I will look for inspiration. Um, I am doing the 100 Days project, and I'm supposed to be doing art every day, mini mixed media pieces every day. Fell off the wagon in the last 3 days. And it's because I didn't look for inspiration. I didn't even try. I didn't even go into my studio. So a good way to find inspiration is on the internet because there's just so much to see and so many things to look at and be inspired by. Other ways, of course, are to go outside and look around in nature because, man, nature is where it's at. You find all the geometry, all the shapes out there in nature. But I decided to print off a few of the things I saw on Pinterest onto a little sheet just to show you, or to show the people that I was talking to on the live stream, that the last few things that I've pinned, and I'm not even aware of this, but if you go and look at my board, the last few things that I've pinned have been pastel abstract things with botanical shapes. And that's what I'm into. It's spring. I'm still into abstract. I love botanicals and shapes like that. And so I decided that that would be what I would be inspired by today. I'm sorry I can't give credit to any of the people who made any of this art because I have no idea. It was just Pinterest. You know, Pinterest has pictures and you pin them onto little boards, little electronic boards for yourself to save later. That's all Pinterest is just ideas that you can save for later in a little category for yourself. So my inspiration, you know, on Pinterest, that's where I got these from. And if you really need to know who they're by, and by the way, all fantastic artists, good job, guys, whoever you are. um, yeah, you can go look over there on my Pinterest inspiration. It's just called For Inspiration. It's one of my many boards on Pinterest. I've pinned more stuff on there than I could possibly even look at. I mean, I at night I will look at my phone, you know, when I'm trying to settle down. I'll look at my phone, I'll look at Pinterest, look at a lot of recipes and things like that, and also look at a lot of art. So I decided, since I was doing mixed media collage and since I haven't made anything for a couple days, I would do a triptych. A triptych is like three pieces of art that coordinate with each other that you can hang together. And I have these little 4x4 mini canvases, and I saw on Amazon this frame that has like a black frame with a white mat cut with three 4x4 square holes, which would be perfect for this. You put these little canvases in those holes, and then you have something that you can hang up, and it's all framed and nice. And I'll probably do that. So that's why I decided to work in a triptych, is because I'm behind. I didn't do my 100-day projects. So I decided I needed to make some collage fodder, and I decided to use my 5x7 gel plate to do that in these really pastel-y, very faded out tint colors. And the way that you get these colors is you mix your regular paint. I mean, you can buy pastel acrylic paint, absolutely. You don't have to blend it yourself, but you can just by adding titanium white, and that makes it into a tint. So I have some of these Arteza acrylic tubes that are almost empty, and I'm just adding a ton of this Liquitex Basics um, white, titanium white to it. And it turns it into a tint or a pastel. And I'm doing that with the silicone blade tool. And then I'm also using that tool to paint some of the paint onto the little canvases in kind of, little areas as I'm mixing. I wanted to make a neutral here on this one. And the way that you make a neutral is to mix two colors that are opposite on the color wheel. So in this case, I had this orange, so I added some blue to it to make kind of a taupe color, because a lot of these paintings that I was looking at are set off by a neutral tone. So I decided I needed some neutral paper too. I'm also using some stencils. I grabbed a couple stencils that were botanical shapes, leaves and stuff like that. And then I also had one that was from a recent Stencil Girl club set that was kind of like some lacy stuff, and I used that one as well. I didn't use a whole lot of stencils, but I just wanted some pattern as I was going along, and since I was thinking about botanical shapes, I used some botanical stencils. So that's what I would call taupe, which is like a grayish brown, but it's a very neutral color. So I made a few bits of that, and I'm just using scraps of paper. Like that is, I think, shipping instructions. When you print out a shipping label to send something back to Amazon, they make you print this whole sheet and it's got instructions on it. Well, I only need the little label part. So I don't like to waste, and I save some of that stuff, little scraps of paper to make collage stuff later. I also am using some pieces of rice paper because I had cut them in half to use for doodling in front of the TV, which I talked about a couple videos ago. So this is just, basic color mixing. I'm just making tints. I wanted a purple that's way too dark. I ended up lightening it up even more after this, I think. One thing you can do is if you have already a gel printed piece that's you want it more pastel than it came out, you can actually just put a layer of titanium white on your gel plate real thinly and print over the top, and it'll lighten everything up. I did that at the end of this little gel printing session. I think I did one with white. But you don't want to put it thick because titanium white is opaque, so it would just completely cover everything up. But if you just put a real sketchy light layer over it, you can do that. Or if you have some transparent white or tint, it's called transparent white, you could do it with that too. But I don't have transparent white because I always just use this titanium white. This silicone blade tool, or it's a catalyst tool, is fun to paint with sometimes. It's like a 1-inch silicone brush, basically. And I'm not wasting any of this paint. I'm using it up completely by painting it on the canvases and painting it onto my gel plate and printing it onto paper. Because no matter if I won't use all this paper up today. Not even a teeny tiny bit of this paper will get used today. But I'll use it later. And I did realize that I don't have a lot of pastel painty papers at all, like hardly any. That's the reason I figured I better print some. This is rice paper. I've been obsessed with rice paper lately. And look at that. That looks like you just put some leaves on the plate. I thought that one was really cool. I think I'm done gel printing now, and I'm going to work on my mini canvases. I have an hour and a half. Still talking about this sheet, and I will go ahead and post this sheet into the Art Joy of Sharing art community today, along with this video, so that people could use this sheet as inspiration if they want to. Again, I can't give credit to the artists. I'm sorry. Pinterest is like that. When you pin something on Pinterest, you don't really know where it came from. It's just a picture, you know? That's how it is. And somebody else, probably not the artist, put these on there. It was someone else who put them on there. So I don't know who painted these, but they're all beautiful and different and not the same artist. They're different artists. So I was talking about, okay, now I want to make some botanical shapes. I love going outside right now to my patio because that honeysuckle is blooming and it smells so nice. The plant's not looking that great. It still looks like winter on the plant because there's a lot of dried leaves and stuff, but it bloomed and it smells great. So, thinking about it, and it's a climbing plant, by the way, it's a vine like this. I didn't put any flowers on this, I just put leaf shapes, but I used a Jerry's Jumbo Jet uh, oil impregnated oil impregnated charcoal pencil to draw a sinuous shape through all three of the canvases at once. I'm using them as if they're one. That's how you do a triptych, is to use multiple pieces of paper or canvas. These are 4x4, by the way, 4x4 square canvas panels. And then I got out my gel sticks. These are King Art, and I have 48 colors, which makes me happy, so I've been using these lately. They're like a creamy, water-soluble product, and I used the white one to just kind of block out the background around my leaves, and then I also did use a little bit of watered down gesso over the top of that to kind of make it a little bit more permanent, because these gel sticks are not permanent. They're water soluble. These canvases will get sprayed with a UV protectant matte acrylic spray outside to make sure that everything's permanent in the end. And then I also added a little bit of green and a little bit of kind of like an ochre yellow stick, just messing around. Then I decided to work a little bit on collage. So I was thinking to myself, should I collage the leaves or should I collage the background? Which thing do I want to make the pattern on? And I decided to put the pattern on the background mostly. So I started out with this light blue piece of paper that had some botanical shapes on it, and I tore little pieces and added them here and there. Then I added a bit of, I think I used a neutral piece and then a pink piece. And instead of using a brush, I'm just literally applying the Liquitex matte gel medium with my finger to the back of the paper, to the canvas, and then pressing it down with my finger. Sometimes your fingers are your best tools. I did put Art Guard protectant cream on my hands before I ever started today. I wanted to protect. I knew I was going to get my hands in it. It was just one of those days where everything was going to get real messy, and I was going to get my fingers in it. So I did protect my hands with that cream, barrier cream first. So I wasn't worried about getting my fingers in it and smushing things around and blending the gel stick and adding the papers. Sometimes it really feels good to do it. So just little bits of torn paper here and there to make my whole thing more interesting. Now, one thing I really do want to talk about, and I didn't get it on film, but it happened after the camera was off. In fact, it happened after I took my pictures. As you guys can see, even now, I will add more stuff to this, but this is the lesson I want you guys to learn from this particular piece. When you look at the close-ups in the pictures, I have everything being too much of one tone. There's no contrast, right? And this is what I did. This is the lesson that I taught myself doing this here activity. There still needs to be contrast. Even if you're doing a very pale pastel piece, there has to be something that draws your eye. And if I were to take this a picture of this and switch it to black and white, you would see it's all gray. It's not, there's, there's different colors, but there isn't a lot of contrast. So what I did to fix that, and by the way, I just want to talk a little bit about this really quick, is I'm using some Posca paint pens here. You know, Posca paint pens are acrylic ink inside of a pen, right? So you can make a puddle of that and you can actually blend the colors. So I'm using some of these colors, making a puddle of white and blending them and making them more pastel. And I basically am able to get a permanent ink watercolory type situation with my water brush. That's what I was doing. But anyway, so one note here. And as I add this, which is a gray Pentel color brush, it is also a water-soluble product. Even then, there's more contrast, but even then, the gray is, I didn't want to use black. So I was like, no, I'm not going to use black, right? Black will be too black against all this pastel and it won't look right. And I thought I was doing the right thing. I was doing the right thing. I just wasn't thinking it all the way through because I was on a live stream and talking. But I'm, of course, adding detail with this brush. I'm going to try to blend it out a little bit with the water brush. And that's looking pretty good. Going to add some more color or whatever. But what I didn't realize, there's still not enough contrast. That gray was too soft. So what I needed at the end, after I took the picture and everything and was going to edit the pictures, I realized I got to have something super dark in order for everything else to contrast against. So what I did, and I love the way it turned out, is I used my Pentel pocket brush pen, which is a India ink black brush pen that has the capability of making extremely fine lines, and then if you push it down harder it makes fatter lines, and it has that ability. So I ended up making a very black line across all three of them, and it made a huge difference. And I learned that lesson. I'm so happy that I did this today, that I was able to figure out how to fix it in the end. Off camera, of course. But you guys know it was just a line, okay? And you guys can see it in the pictures. It was just black, and I made sure that there was thin parts and fat parts and little curly parts and wavy parts. But when you look at the three together, it's like, oh, it made that contrast that had to be there. And the way that I figured it out was just by taking a picture of it and realizing, you know what, it's blah. It's just blah. And that's because there wasn't contrast. See, even here, I know there's not enough contrast, and so I'm not thinking about it, but I'm adding more white even now, and trying to get more contrast by adding more of that white ink around some of the leaf shapes. But yeah, that's what I did today, and I'm making up for day, what is it, 25, 26, and 27. Today would be 27 of the 100 days project. So the last couple days I made up for that. Proud of myself, got something done. So I am going to put the products that I used today below in the description box below the video so that you guys can click on them and find anything that I used today. And most of the links will be affiliate links, which means that when you click on them, the cost doesn't change for you, but it does give me a few cents when you use my links. Even if you don't buy the thing, you buy something else, but you've used my link to get there, it just gives me a few cents, and they'll, it's a nice thing to do. I'm happy when you guys do that. And I've noticed that people have not been using my Amazon store or affiliate links lately because, or else people aren't buying things. It could be that too. But I'm always happy when you guys do that. Also, when you give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment or question below. When you subscribe, I'm super excited. When you turn on your subscription notifications, that's exciting. And when you share my art, I really love that. When I see people sharing something that I posted on Facebook, they share my post. I really get excited about that. So I'm adding some more little squiggly lines with this Pentel color wash brush, and then also I added some more of the gel stick colors here and there just to make it more dynamic. And then I added some little white dots with the Posca fine tip pen. Just little dots. They're fun to do. I like to make dots. And I think I added some, yep, I did add some splatters. Made a mess. But that is it, except for that one black line. Now go and look at the close-ups that are coming up and see what I'm talking about, how that black line made such a difference. Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.